I've been getting a lot of comments on the scan videos saying something interesting. People keep saying this reminds me of the VHS, and that stuck in my head because I grew up on VHS. That was my version of these films. Soft pictures, crushed blacks, tracking lines, colour bleeding. Cinema through a plastic brick. So I thought, why not actually compare them? I have the Terminator on a VHS transfer, a regraded 35mm scan, and a Blu-ray. This is not me trying to declare one version the official truth. I'm not a restoration expert. I'm not standing in front of a colour chart pretending I was in the lab with James Cameron.
Hey buddy, did you just see a real bright light?
This is just for fun, a fan putting all the versions side by side and asking why the film feels different depending on how you watch it. VHS, 35 and the Blu-ray. A quick disclaimer before the film print police climb through the comments. A 35mm scan is not a definitive reference master. Prints vary, they age, scans can be balanced differently. VHS transfers have their own problems. Same for Blu-ray. Every format lies a little bit. I just want to see what each one does to the movie. This is a vibe test, a texture test. Very scientific. Starting with the VHS, because this film entered a lot of people's brains through tape, including myself. A black rectangle that made everything slightly haunted. The tape hides some of the seams. It's not accurate, but it understands the assignment. The regraded 35mm scan is not the same one I used for the scan video. That one was compromised, it was rough. That's part of why I wanted to show it. I liked that it felt like a broken object, a damaged piece of film. The magic of the Terminator on VHS is not accuracy, it's atmosphere. Now, the regraded 35mm scan gives it something different. The VHS feels like memory, while the scan looks like an object. You can actually sense how low budget it was, in the best way. Then the Blu-ray, and this is where the trade-off begins. The Blu-ray is clearer, obviously. You get more detail, faces are much easier to read. The Blu-ray is not bad at all, just because it's clean. But the Terminator, especially the first one, shouldn't be prim and proper. It should kick the door in and ask for Sarah Connor, so the Blu-ray wins clarity, while the VHS gives it a memory look and 35 gives it texture. The scene test we should use is Tech Noir, and as of recording this voiceover, I have no idea how the hell I'm going to edit this together. Split screen or just cutting in between. Either way, good luck. On VHS, Tech Noir feels messy and dangerous. The whole scene has a late night tape feeling. Regraded. On 35, the scene has more body. The smoke has texture. On Blu-ray, everything is crystal clear. The formats do different things, and depending on what you want from the Terminator, that changes the actual scene. The police station massacre is the next horror test. This is one of the scenes that proves that the first Terminator is basically a horror film. On VHS, the scene becomes rough and chaotic. Darkness crushes parts of the image. On 35, the film texture keeps Arnold strange. The violence has weight. On Blu-ray, the scene is clearer, more readable. Does clarity make it scarier? Or does the rougher texture make Arnold feel more like a monster, as the police are supposed to be safety, and Arnold just walks through it? The next scene is the future war. The mood test. As the budget's not huge, you have limitations with this first film. VHS looks like a transmission from some sort of nightmarish future. This is where VHS really works. It makes the future feel less like a scene and more like a warning. On the regraded 35, you get more scale. Blue light has more depth. The machines look heavier. And on Blu-ray, the future looks more clearer. You can see more of the sets, miniatures, effects, details. That can be impressive. Not a bad thing. A clean museum exhibit. The factory ending is the big effect test. This is where every format has to deal with the endoskeleton, The endoskeleton is creepy on VHS. It hides things. On 35, the endoskeleton looks more real. You can see the craft, but it does not feel exposed. On Blu-ray, the endo is clear. This is the weird thing about old effects. Best version is not the one that reveals everything. Sometimes the best version is the one that lets the effects live inside the film's atmosphere. The 35 version gives them balance, the VHS gives me the nightmare memory of watching it for the first time, and the Blu-ray gives you all the director-approved details. The mystery in the machine. So why do people keep saying the 35mm scans reminds them of VHS? I think it's not because they are technically identical. VHS is soft because the format is limited, 35mm is textured because film is physical. Different reasons, similar results. I think the thing that people are reacting to is the feeling, the memory, the imperfection. And if you grew up with VHS, a good scan can hit that same part of the brain, not because it looks exactly like your tape. Blu-ray changes the relationship. Again, not in a bad way. Blu-ray can be great, it can show you details that the older formats destroyed. It gives you the cleanest way to watch the film. But with a film like the Terminator, it should look like a low-budget nightmare. For the Terminator, I think the rougher versions suit it best. The VHS, it's not accurate, but it carries the childhood memory of the film. The regraded 35mm scan gives it proper physical texture without being compromised, as the old scan I used before. The Blu-ray is useful, it's clear, it's watchable. It lets you see the craft, but if the image gets too clean, the film loses some horror. For me, VHS wins memory, Blu-ray wins in clarity, and 35mm wins mood. After comparing them all, I get it. VHS is not correct. 35 is not definitive. Blu-ray is not automatically wrong, but each version gives you a different Terminator. And it's fun seeing how much the film changes depending on the route it takes to your eyes. The movies are not just plots, they are surfaces, colours, damage, light, smoke, formats, memories. And the version you grew up with is not the most accurate, but it still might be the one your brain believes. And sometimes when a scan feels closer to that memory than the modern release does, that's worth talking about, not as a definitive version, just as film obsession, which is what this channel is. Comparing VHS, 35 and Blu-ray like this is totally normal. It's not, but it is cinema.